Good afternoon, all, and welcome to this month's member webinar hosted by Wisconsin Cheesemakers Association. I'm Grace Atherton, I'm WCMA's Communications Director, and I'm so glad to have you all with us today as we dive into everything you need to know about the United States Championship Cheese Contest. We have some great speakers lined up for you today, and it should be really informative. So we'll go ahead and dive in. First, though, a couple of small housekeeping notes. Please make sure that your mic is muted and your video is off to avoid interruptions during our webinar. We will have some time for Q&A at the end of our session with our presenters. And you can submit questions anytime as well during the chat, and we'll be sure to get to as many of those as we can during the session. Also, a recording of this webinar, along with a list of resources, contact information, and the slides we used during the presentation, will be shared with everyone who registered later this week. So watch for that in your email inbox. That'll come from me. With that, let's take a quick look at our agenda. So we'll start with an overview of the contest. What is it? How long has it been running? And how do you participate, including entry rules and some key deadlines that you'll need to know. Next, we'll walk you through our team of expert contest judges and the technical evaluation process they use to score each of those entries. Then we'll talk about how to maximize your participation in the contest. Whether or not you come away with a medal, there's still plenty to be gained from participating. And we'll hear firsthand from a couple of businesses who have used their contest participation to their advantage in the past. Finally, as I mentioned, we'll open it up to your questions for our speakers before we wrap up this month's webinar. Just as another final reminder, I will share a link to a recording of this session, as well as contact information and other resources later this week. So keep an eye out for that. And please feel free to drop your questions in the chat at any time throughout today's session, and we'll get to those at the end. Without further ado, let's jump in. We are going to start with a contest overview from WCMA's contest director, Kirsten Strominger. Kirsten, take it away.
Well, hello everyone. I'm Kirsten Strominger, WCMA's contest director. WCMA has hosted an annual contest since the 1890s. So we have a strong history with dairy industry competitions. And the intent then is similar to now. We create a friendly competition amongst peers while providing valuable feedback for cheesemakers to improve and make the best quality products. So each year we host either the World Championship Cheese Contest or the US Championship Cheese Contest. And the next edition is our 2025 United States Championship Cheese Contest. We'll be in Green Bay, Wisconsin, March 4, 5, and 6. And next we'll go over details for the contest and all that information. Please make sure to go to our website, which is uschampioncheese.org. And the contest entry kit is where you'll find every piece of information for entering this year's contest. And also, please email me, reach out, call. I'm happy to answer questions and talk through classes and products and anything you need. I'm happy to help. So for some key dates for this next year's contest, we again have an early entry rate discount of $15 per entry if entries are submitted by December 13th, 2024. Entries submitted after are $95. Entries submitted before December 13th are $80. Entries after are $95. And then our final entry deadline is January 31st. The entry receiving deadline is Wednesday, February 19th. All the entries need to arrive that day to the WOW Logistics Warehouse in Little Chute, Wisconsin. We do allow fresh products to arrive by February 26th. Any fresh product would be something that needs to be made as close to the judging day as possible. So this would be like cheese curds or like fresh mozzarella, anything that meets that. And if we don't have specific products to match that fresh product, but if you need your product to be as fresh as possible, then February 26th can work for delivery for that product. The contest judging, again, will be at the Resch Expo, March 4, 5, and 6. And we will announce the 2025 US champion on Thursday, March 6th via live stream event. So then the contest awards banquet takes place on Thursday, April 17th. This is the final day of CheeseCon in Madison, Wisconsin. CheeseCon is WCMA's conference that we hold. There's trade shows, seminars. Highly encourage cheesemakers to attend, and then of course attend the banquet and celebrate all of our winning cheesemakers. So next, who can enter? Every maker of cheese, butter, yogurt, sour cream, and dry dairy ingredients manufactured in the United States is eligible to compete. Second-party marketers, processors, or retailers can enter co-packed products with approval from the original manufacturer. And we'll go over specifics on products. We have some specific rules. Entries must be natural or processed dairy products. Any raw milk products must be held for 60 days before contest evaluation. And a product can only be entered in one class. So each product ideally has one best fit class, and that one class is where it should compete. Each class has different requirements and rules on how many you can enter of that same product. So check out our contest entry kit for the specific rules for each class on how many you can enter. The chief judge reserves the right to move any entry to the most appropriate class. And also, the class entry limits, second parties are allowed to enter up to 2 entries in a class, with the exception for demonstration classes. Those companies can enter those directly. The demonstration classes are like converted products like shredded cheese and sliced cheese. And then also each entry must be entered in the name of the person, team, or group directly involved in making. We want the cheesemaker to receive the credit for the winning product. So we want the direct cheesemaker manufacturer on the winning cheese. We want to announce that name or that team name. So products can be sent with or without their normal branded packaging and labels. The technical scoring evaluation, that process is objective, so labels and brands do not interfere with the scoring evaluation. So that's why we don't have rules on branded packaging for samples. So each entry also should be sent in their original manufactured form, unless otherwise noted in the kit. We have some exceptions, but overall, do not send a cut piece of cheese. We want to see the whole product. Our judges are looking at everything in the manufacturer, and they want to see the whole piece of cheese for that evaluation purpose. So send in a whole wheel or a whole block, unless there's an exception. We have some for, large format cheeses, smoked cheese when they're cut before they're cold smoked, or cheese is coated or submersed in a flavor or condiment. So if it's covered on all sides, then that's okay, because that's part of the manufacture process. And then also the demonstration classes. So like those converted product, like cheese shreds and slices, that, of course, that's going to be cut from its original manufactured product, but its final form is that demonstration class. So then for small size products, we also ask for multiple products to be sent to equal a minimum of 2 pounds. We want to make sure we have enough product. If your cheese wins, we want to make sure we have enough product for the champion round. So we ask for a minimum total sent of 2 pounds. Also, we do not allow any entries with trier holes. Exception for that is if you send in a whole Swiss block or wheel, but entries with the trier hole will be disqualified. Also of note, samples with any excessive mites or contamination, they may be deemed unsafe and will be removed from the contest at the discretion of the chief judge. So really recommend, if you have a cave-aged product, that you make sure you cleaned and vacuumed off mites. We don't want that contamination with our other products or in any of the warehouses that we use. So that is important to note. Also, this year, we have 117 classes. We have these divided into a couple different classifications. We have cow, sheep, goat, and mixed milk. Then we have classes for butter and then cultured products, which consist of yogurt and, new this year, sour cream and dairy-based dips. And then we also have our dry dairy ingredients and the demonstration classes. Entries in the contest must be paid in full at time of entry submission. Your entries can be canceled prior to January 31st of 2025, and they'll receive a 50% refund of the entry fee paid. Cancellations after January 31st will not receive a refund. No refund is offered for entries that don't make it to the warehouse. And that is your responsibility to pay for the shipping costs and make sure it gets to the warehouse. Happy to help however we can to make sure that happens. Please always reach out if you ever have any questions. So now how to enter. We have our My Entries, which is our exclusive entry work site for the championship cheese contest. This is WCMA's own unique system that we've designed specifically for entrants and the judging. This is your personal secure account for online entry, product scores, and ongoing score sheet access, shipping product ID tags, and then so next I'll offer some insight and tips on entering using My Entries. This is a screenshot of your My Entries dashboard. This is where you'll access features for your previous score sheets, your account information, and your current previous orders. The score and order information saves in your account. So if you have a change in the person managing your company account or your entries, you can change the email password to the new person, so then all your data stays accessible. If you need help accessing anything in your account, again, reach out. I'm happy to help. So we'll walk through a little bit of how to enter a new product. So you'll select that green Get Started button. And you can select previous entries to copy data over, but I have some screenshots of a new blank entry for reference. So a couple tips on some of these entry fields. First, you'll select the contest class from that dropdown. And then in the product brand name field, you'll write the name of the product. So judges do not see this information. This information is what goes on the website or in the results booklets. This is, where you say your brand, your marketing brand. So say like Wisconsin Cheesemakers Association, say that USCCC is our brand name. We would say USCCC Cheddar because we want people to associate WCMA with our marketing brand USCCC. And then this next line, the product description, that's where you have your information for the judges. So the more information, the better. They want to know everything there is to know about the manufacturer of this product or your intent. This isn't necessarily where you want your marketing description. That doesn't help. I'm sure Eric may go into that. That's not a helpful information for the judge. They want to know, maybe the milk. What makes your cheese special from a manufacturer standpoint that might help them in their evaluation. And then you have the maker or the team name in that next category, and then the entry company. So next is another screenshot of the entry form, continued. You'll put how many total pieces and then the total weight. So not the individual, that total weight is entirely of what you're sending, not the individual piece size if they're smaller cheeses. I always send those full pieces of cheese, please, unless otherwise noted in the kit. But then also we have the manufacture date. This helps too to make sure that we have this cheese in the right category. So a couple of these fields are editable after you submit your entry. So you can log back in when you're selecting your product, because if you're entering in November, but you haven't made that cheese yet, that's highly possible. So you can go in and log this information after you've already submitted. So the manufacturer date, that lot information, and then moisture percentage. And these are just helpful indicators, both for the judges and contest leadership, to make sure that your cheese is truly in the right category for judging. And then you'll see here, you do have to put in that, it's made in the US. All entries for the contest must be made in the USA to compete in the US contest. Then finally, this last field is the notes for your personal use. We do not see these notes at all. The judges don't see those. Those are your notes for yourself. So if you have specific things that maybe somebody on your team needs to know of where to find a cheese or just specific internal notes, that's your spot that you have only for yourself. I can't see that when I log in. So that last field is just for you. So then packing and shipping is also important. I mentioned we have this print your shipping tags, so these product ID tags. Each contest entry must be carefully packed and arrive at the WOW Logistics warehouse, and by February 19th or February 26th for those fresh products. So from your My Entries account, you'll click that print your shipping tags button, and then here is what populates a PDF of all of your entries. There are 2 ID tags for each product. What we want to see, what makes it easiest for our volunteers and when we're checking in these products, is one of those slips should be inside of a box with your product. The other should be on the outside of the box. And each product is ideally in its own box. You can send a bunch of boxes in one large shipping container, but we want each product in its own individual box, because when we sort these into classes, we're sorting them on pallets. So when it's in its own box, it's helpful for us for identification. It's also helpful for your product to make sure that it stays in the best possible condition it can. So that is my number one tip. Besides, don't cut your cheese. Please put it in its own individual box. It just keeps the product safer, better for us and our processes. So you'll print those tags off, pack them in its own box, and yeah, there also is a list that populates as well of all of your entries. So hopefully that's, helpful for you to mark off each time you pack up one of your products. We have two great partners. I mentioned Wow Logistics, but we partner with Wow Logistics and Wisconsin Asian Grading Cheese to receive and hold and sort and organize all the contest entries for judging. You'll see here all of these products on all of these pallets. We have volunteers here, and we work with great folks at both of these companies who help us out and make sure that we have all the products arrive safely and all the products are in the right spot. So our volunteers are key to our operation, and without them, we would not have as great as of a success of the events that we do. So if you're ever interested in volunteering, please let me know. I'll make sure that you're on our distribution list. Our shifts fill up fast for volunteers. We have a great core team of folks that help us every year, and we take volunteers both at entry check-in at the warehouse, receiving products, and that's in the 2 weeks prior to the contest. Then we have volunteers that we need to prep the dry dairy ingredient samples. So helping to kind of hydrate and repackage some of them to make sure that they're ready for judging at the contest. Then of course we have our B team members also at the contest that we need volunteers for. So that is unboxing and handling, getting the cheese to the judge, and then repacking everything safely. So again, if you're interested, please email me. I'll make sure that you're on the list for distribution. I'll give a little quick overview of the judging process. Our guest presenter and contest judge, Eric Vorpahl, will go into more detail in a few minutes. But the first round of judging takes place on March 4th and 5th of 2025. These preliminary rounds entries are evaluated by 2 expert technical judges. 2 judges have 1 entire class. So your cheese is competing only against those in that class for the first round of judging. And a gold, silver, and bronze medal are awarded to the 3 highest scoring entries in each class. Then the champion round judging will take place on March 6th. This is our expert panel of judges will evaluate all eligible gold medal cheeses a second time to determine the top 20 finalists that move on to the final round of judging. During that final round, scores from all judges are averaged, and the cheese which earns the highest average score is named the U.S. champion. The next 2 highest scores are awarded first and second runner-up. We'll announce the 2025 U.S. champion cheese that afternoon during a live stream event. Then at the contest awards banquet on April 17th, during the finale event of CheeseCon, winners will have their moment on the stage for recognition and receive elegant handmade plaques with the U.S. Championship Cheese Contest medallion. First place winners in each class are given gold medal plaques, and those medals are electroplated in 24-karat gold. Then silver and bronze medal plaques are awarded to second and third place winners in each class. Then, as you see here, handcrafted trophies are presented to our U.S. champion, first runner-up, and second runner-up. Also, winners of a bronze, silver, or gold medal gain access to the official trademarked U.S. Championship Cheese Contest logo. This logo and guideline are provided after the contest to be incorporated into your packaging and marketing materials. We're happy to send you the file for the logo, and you can order stickers included on any white papers or website. We send those guidelines along, and we love seeing it, as you see here. It's exciting to see, and it helps awareness for the contest grow. So this, is a recognized symbol of quality and craftsmanship across the country. And this is a great way to show potential customers you've committed to providing high quality and delicious products. So this concludes my portion of the contest overview. If you have any questions about specific products or entry rules, ask at the end of the webinar, or feel free to call or email me after. So we'll hand it over to Grace and we'll hear from our contest entrants and judges.
Great, thank you so much for that informative run through, Kirsten. I'm going to ask Kirsten to drop her contact information in the chat so it's readily accessible to all of you. We will send it out in an email later this week as well, but that way you've got it in multiple places in case you need it. As Kirsten mentioned, and as our screen indicates, next we will take a deeper dive into what it takes to evaluate the thousands of contest entries during the course of this competition, and how, if you enter, your products will be evaluated by our judges. To do that, we have invited one of our wonderful contest expert judges, Eric Vorpal of Masters Gallery Foods, is here to walk us through the wide world of contest judging. So Eric, I'm going to give it over to you. Take it away.
Fantastic, Grace. Thank you for the introduction. As you mentioned, my name is Eric Vorpal. I am with Masters Gallery Foods. I'm the director of procurement over the bulk cheese and risk management areas. So I head up the team that sources all the cheese that we use in our plants to slice, shred, stick, and so on, and also sell industrially. And then the other portion is just managing that risk that comes from sourcing a product whose price changes every single week. But I've had the absolute great fortune of being involved with the contest for about 15 years now, and I've seen most of the ways around it. Started as a B teamer, volunteering, sorting samples, being there on contest day, bringing samples to the table, packaging them back up, then became a contest judge. Those plaques over my right shoulder, that is not just a prop placement. That is their honored place in my office every single day, 24/7. So if you can count, there are 9. I've had the good fortune of being invited to judge at the last 9 U.S. and world combined contests. But I have a passion for cheese, not only growing up in it, working in it professionally, but I also have a passion for the contest. I think the contest put on by the Wisconsin Cheesemakers Association, either U.S. or world, depending on the year, is one of the premier showcase events for the industry. And we're going to talk about how we judge some of these samples. So first, I'm going to touch on the tools of the trade. You saw some imaging around the trier. This is our go core item. It's a half moon knife. And typically we take samples out of more American style cheeses, loaves, things of that nature, wheels. We also have a smaller version that we use for our hard Italian, where the lower moisture results in a more dense body of cheese. That smaller surface area of the knife allows for that plug to be drawn. What I won't be able to bring today is the hundreds of other implements provided by the contest. Knives, two-handle knives, tongs, spatulas, spoons, guillotines for cutting, blue and gourd wheels. Really, it's just so much equipment that goes in, and because these cheeses, there's so many, 117 categories, I believe what you said, Kristen, and so there's no one magic tool to properly evaluate every single one. So lots of tools in the trade. Now, we're going to go to how we evaluate samples. There's a scale. So when we have a cheese that hits the table for me and my partner to evaluate, at that moment it is a perfect cheese. It has 100 points. But then it is the charge of me and my partner to then evaluate it, identify things that we would say, hey, this is maybe not as well as I'd like it to be, or this isn't a flavor or body characteristic that we'd like to see in this type of cheese. And we do that with this scale of identifying the defects. So the first one is very slight. So it's the most minuscule level. And the definition is detected under very, very critical examination, something I would expect trained professionals such as myself or grading team masters or the other judges in the contest. Those are the people that will be able to pick up on that. The range for the very slight classification is just the very minimum, 0.1 to about a half a point. From then on, we go to slight. So you can find it under critical examination, but not that very intense scrutiny. We call that designation slight, and that deduction ranges from about a half point up to a 1.5. From then on, the next layer is definite, where it's very easily detected, but might not be overpowering, but very easy to pick up. That range is about 0.5 to 2.5 points. And finally, we come up with pronounce. Pronounce is very much in your face, can't avoid it, very overwhelming flavor or body characteristic or smell, something of that nature. Not something you necessarily want to see at contests, but unfortunately, it does happen. So that's all that scales what's going through my head of, hey, as I find these defects, this is how I want to score them accordingly. Now we're going to touch on some of the scoring categories that we have, and so that you can have an idea of what's going through our heads as that cheese hits the table. The first thing we do is we look at appearance. Appearance is really that first impression of the cheese. Hey, when I see it, what jumps out at me? If I'm looking at a 40-pound block, are those corners square? Is the package sealed or is it loose? Is that packaging wrinkled? Fortunately, on appearance, it tops out at a half point, which you remember is just in the very slight designation. So if there's something that did happen or wasn't ideal, it may not be a backbreaker, but it could be enough of a deduction to take you out of placing to not placing. From then on, we look at the food safety and quality aspect of the cheese. So we're looking for, hey, is there mold? Is there mold where it's not supposed to be? Is there free moisture? Is there foreign material? Unfortunately, like there are way too many times that we see foreign material on samples, and that's such a tragedy because you could have a fantastic place-worthy cheese with the presence of foreign material, and suddenly it can't possibly score in those first, second, and third range because of the presence of that foreign material. So looking at that and checking for those appearance defects, for those quality and safety defects, I call those preventable errors. And I really want to stress enough that as the cheesemaker paying the money, submitting the sample, you really want to just do what you can to mitigate any possibility of having those preventable defects show in your sample. Next, we look at the surface. Is there a rind? Is it too thick? Is it too thin? Is it cracked? All things like that. Then we move to color. And hey, is that color uniform? Is it consistent throughout? If it's not consistent, in which way is it consistent? We have different designations for that. So it's a lot of things going through our head. It is not an understatement to say that it is work to judge all these samples. We judge probably 160 to 180 samples in a one contest period, depending on how many entries have come in and how it's distributed. So it's it's mentally exhausting to do this for 3 days, and you can see why as I'm describing through it. But the big ones, the next two, body and flavor. That's the most time that we spend evaluating. So your body is going to be, once you've pulled that plug out of your block, you bend that plug. Does it snap right away? Is it too pliable? Is it too flexible? Once I do that, I take a bit of that cheese and I work it through my fingers, and I'm thinking, hey, what am I feeling? Is it smearing? Is it sticking? Sticking my fingers? Is it too soft? Is it too hard? Is it crumbling? All these are all the things that I'm looking for. And then as I'm doing that, I'm also, by this point in time, I've actually started to taste the sample. And I close my eyes because I do this for judging too. As I'm feeling the cheese, I'm tasting the cheese, I'm blocking out any sensory input from hearing or seeing, and I'm really giving it my full attention on, hey, what is going on here? What am I tasting? Is this a representative flavor of the sample that I'm having? Is it, having the flavor notes that I'm looking for? Or is there things that shouldn't be there? Or if they can be there, are they in the right balance? Balance is such a key word because there's so many different cheeses that we try as judges, both in prelim and then the second and final rounds. But really achieving that balance between, all the different flavors that we come through. For instance, we want, in a fresh cheese, we want that fresh note. We want a little bit of salt. We want a little bit of acid, in a young cheddar. So having that all be balanced and having that not stand out is really key. And then lastly, there are a couple of category-specific defects, including how, some melting cheese, how that will melt, some of the other categories like shreds and slices. There's categories around packaging and whatnot. So my advice for you as contest entries, one, participate, number one. Number two, really, really minimize the amount of preventable defects that are in that cheese. As Kirsten said, you can't plug the cheese, but you can plug the block next to it. But going over going over the surface, making sure there's nothing that any judge will find that could take your sample out of the running is absolutely key. And finally, treat your sample like a champion, because we do. So when the cheese hits the table, we don't know at that moment in time. We could be holding and looking and inspecting the grand champion at any given time. So I ask that, you guys do such a phenomenal job making that cheese. And I ask you to do such a that same level of intensity and effort in selecting the samples so that you can put your absolute best foot forward.
That's fantastic, Eric. Thank you so much for walking us through
Absolutely.
those details. You judges have a big job at each contest, and I envy that you get to taste cheese all day, but I do not envy all of this very detailed technical work that you have to do. You all do it well, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now that we have talked through the basics of how to enter the contest and what judging looks like from the judge's perspective, we are going to hear a couple of firsthand examples from former contest entrants and current contest entrants in recent years. First up is AgriPure. AgriPure is a longtime entrant in both the World and US Championship cheese contests. The cooperative claimed an incredible 19 medals at the 2023 US competition, and that included 5 gold medals and a sweep of the whole milk and part skim mozzarella classes. Mike, you get to talk me down if I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. In 2023, their 1 to 2 year cheddar also made it to the championship round of judging as one of the top 20 cheeses in the nation. So AgriPure has a long and valuable history in participating in the contest. And here to talk with us today about some insights on their experience is Mike Sipple, who also happens to be WCMA's first vice president of our board of directors. So Mike, thank you so much for joining us and take it away.
All right. Thank you very much for that introduction, Grace. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'll briefly go through a description of AgriPure for those of you who don't know us, and then talk a little bit about why we think enter the contest and why we believe it's important. So you can hit the slides whenever you're ready, Grace. So we're a cooperative in Canada that was established in 1938. We have 3,000 members, which are the dairy producers. It's a little different than you would think of a co-op and the ownership structure in the United States because of the supply management in Canada. But we produce or process 15 billion pounds of milk a year, so we're quite large. We have 7,500 employees across North America and 30 plants. So we have 23 plants in Canada and 7 in the United States. And those 7 plants in the United States process more milk than the 23 in Canada. So the scale of our US sites is much more significant. Go to the next slide, Grace.
I'm switching between slides here. Sorry about that. There we go.
There we go. So this is just a quick look at our footprint across North America. You can see, and that's where our manufacturing facilities are located. We do have offices across the world we have in Singapore, Mexico, Geneva, Switzerland, for example, where we have sales offices. So we do have a worldwide footprint from sales, and we market our products across the world. If we look at our U.S. production capabilities in particular, we have a slide where we have our 7 manufacturing sites in 5 states, plants in Idaho, Minnesota, South Dakota, Iowa, 3 in Wisconsin, and we also have our U.S. headquarters with the cheese application lab in Wisconsin. If you look at our production, we make about 1 billion pounds of cheese a year. We have a little over 2,000 employees in the U.S. We have 7 plants, as I said. We have 3 Wisconsin master cheesemakers, and that's okay. I was just ready to. You'd already highlighted the 19 awards we won in the last U.S. championship U.S. contest, and we had 13 in the most recent World Championship contest earlier this year. So if you can go to the next slide, we kind of highlight the products that we manufacture and our awards in those. So we enter about 20 classes a year across the spectrum of our plants, roughly. And since 2000, we've won 222 awards for that. So it's kind of right around 10 awards per year. So we've been able to with the quality of our products, really maximize our exposure there. So I would really, when we look at the U.S. champ, you can just leave it here, Grace. While I chat, I like this slide a lot. It's one of the things we really think brings value is that the WCMA sponsored contest with the US and the world contest, they use multiple judges like Eric from across the world, different specialties, different varieties of product that they bring to it, different, there's people that are extremely technical, and there's also people that work a little bit more on the consumer side with the customer. And that mix and having that mix up each year really brings value to the people that can win on a regular basis in this contest. So because of that, we view this contest sponsored by the Wisconsin Cheesemakers Association to be the premier technical cheese and dairy product contest in the world. And because of that, we value any award that we get into it. There's some other contests out there that are also that will bring marketing and packaging more into the mix as well, and those have their place as well. But from a technical standpoint, we believe this is unmatched. So that's why we treasure the awards we get. Somebody may look at this and say, well, what value does that bring a large company like Agripur that doesn't really have a significant retail presence? So the end consumer doesn't really see products from Agripur, especially in the United States, in Canada to some extent, but not in the US. So what does that mean to us? Well, we really feel that being able to win medals regularly in this contest, looking at the way that it's built and the way that the technical aspect of the judging really brings value to our customers on the food service and industrial side of our business that are buying our products, that can believe in the quality. And at the end of the day, they really want our product to be consistent and perform well for them. But having this contest performance in the background, I mean, it impacts our reputation and how people view us. And it's really been valuable for us as we engage with our customers to be able to say, not only can we bring you consistent products that perform for you on a daily or a weekly or a monthly basis, depending on the rate that they consume it, we have this tangible contest results that show that you are buying quality product, and it really brings significant value to that reputation we have and how we're viewed within the industry. And one other piece that I would say, I don't know how well my picture's coming through on here, but I'm not a young guy anymore. I've been around for a little bit, and the 3 Wisconsin plants that we have used to be known as Trega Foods when they were privately held family business. And one of the things that attracted Agripur to us as Trega Foods was our performance in the contest. They believed that because of our performance in the contest of regularly having winners, that we knew how to make quality cheese, and that would be a good fit for them as they look to create a presence in the United States and grow from there. So really, it doesn't matter to me what size you are. There's value to participating in the contest. And then the last piece is we get a true technical evaluation of our product that we can take back and learn from and find ways to improve and be better. So really, that's kind of a quick summary of the value we get from the contest as a larger company. And I know we've got Orphe here to tell us from a more artisan perspective what value that can bring. So I'm excited to hear what he has to say.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mike. That's I love this slide as well. It's a beautiful depiction of Agripur's participation and all the wonderful accomplishments that your team has achieved in these contests. So as Mike mentioned, we also have one more guest speaker before we answer your questions. We have Orphe Piatine here from Alpenage Artisan Cheese. That is the creation of Orphy and his partner Paula, who have brought the French-Swiss tradition of raclette to American consumers, thanks to their combined knowledge, background, and experience in cheese making and aging. They competed in WCMA's championship cheese contest, I believe, in both 2023 and 2024, which stacked their raclette up against competitors from across the nation and around the world, which is a big deal. So Orphy is here with us today, also a WCMA board member. We're thankful to have him to talk here about his experience and what keeps him coming back to enter the competition. So Orphy, take it away.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Mike. Very good presentation. So, well, Alpenash is much smaller. Obviously, it's going to be very quick to explain who we are. I think Grace already did it very well, but we're a very small cheesemaking company here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And yeah, we did apply, I think, to the US Championship and the World Championship through WCMA. And I think one of the, and I'm going to probably say the same thing as Mike, one of the reasons we actually did it, it's first was the exposure. As a small cheesemaking company, it's there is a lot of competition on this space. So to get the word out and show our product, showcase our products, this competition are very important for us. So that's why we apply, but it's also to have a feedback from judge and professional in the industry. I think it's really important for us to know if we're doing the good thing with our cheese, if we're doing a good job, and how we can improve. So it's kind of a quality control for cheese, not just the competition. So that's really invaluable as far as having the judge feedback. So we're gonna apply again this year. That's the only, I think, contest where we have never won anything. So hopefully we're gonna do better this year. As a small company, we're trying to improve obviously our products. So we're just year after year trying to get to the top and hopefully get as much award as AgroPure. It's kind of a good challenge for us. It's going to be a lot of medal we got to win, but yeah, it's again, exposure, quality control. I think for us as a small cheese company, it's really a great opportunity, and we're very excited for the next contest coming up. So
Right. Sounds like you would encourage entry, right? It seems like from an outsider's perspective, it seems like a good sort of bang for your buck, right? To enter this contest and get this level of technical feedback for the entry fee.
yes,
It seems like a valuable experience, right?
it is. And I would say one thing, when you apply as a small cheese company, you probably think that, well, I probably have no chance to win. There is a lot of, not necessarily like larger company who have more chance to win, but, there is a lot of other company who are going to apply. But one thing, if you win or if you get a very good score, good for you, but you also, so you get this exposure that is very valuable. You can probably get a new customer, new distributor, but you also have to be ready for it, which is for us, that's one of the biggest challenge. It's even more than actually winning the contest, is to be able to provide if you win. So you got to be ready. It's great to put a medal or to put a trophy in your dairy plant, but you also have to be ready if you have new customer and new distributor that are interested in your product. So it's great because it's a good pressure to have, because you have to figure out how to make more cheese, how to make consistent quality cheese. So you can also learn through this process. There is a lot of stuff you can learn beside quality and winning a prize. It's also learning on your business, how you can grow, how you have to grow, how you got to make more cheese in a consistent way. So there is a lot of stuff you can gain from applying to this contest, or at least that's my experience.
Sure. And all those things, I think that's a great point. All those things are things you can gain whether you medal or not, whether you finish first in your class or not, you can still gain all those different valuable points and improve your business in all those different ways. So that's a great
You
point.
do. And also you get to know other cheese company. You don't necessarily know all the cheese company out there in the US. And when you look at the results in your category, you can also maybe learn more about other cheese company, meet other cheesemaker, probably reached out to them if you want to have some advice, or I think the cheese industry share a lot of information in between each cheesemaker, which is great. Like I said, it's always like, I feel like it's kind of a small family. People kind of help each other. So yeah, it's a good way to get exposure and to learn more about our own industry, because sometimes we think we know a lot, but there is a lot of new company out there that are doing awesome jobs. So it's good to get to know them.
Great. Well, thank you so much again for your time, Orphe. Thanks for sharing your experience with the contest. Next, we will move over to Q&A. We have a few questions here that were submitted in advance, so we will go through those first, and then afterward, if anyone has questions after those, we can try and get to as many of those as we can before we wrap up here at or before 2 p.m. So to start off, can I come watch the judging and final announcement? Kirsten, do you want to take this one?
Sure. So the judging, you can come to the Resh Expo on the 2 preliminary days of judging. So that's March 4th and 5th. We'll have special hours where you can come in and watch the judges. And we also will have some samples out there. We do have a lot of the public that come to watch the judging and just see what it's all about. We also will have a judging demonstration area as well. So where you can interact with some contest judges and ask your specific questions about certain cheeses, and they'll walk you through the process, kind of like Eric just did. But they'll have the cheese in front of them. You might be able to try some and really practice judging yourself. So preliminary round judging, you can go and watch. The champion round judging that Thursday will be closed to the public. And the champion announcement, we will have a live stream, and that'll be virtual. So you can join us online or on Facebook and watch the announcement virtually.
I want to put in a plug for this real quickly. As someone who has had fewer years of experience with the contest, it has been so much fun for me to watch this open to the public the last couple of years. If you haven't been in person and you have the chance to go in 2025 to Green Bay, please do. It is so much fun. The judges are so knowledgeable, and it's fascinating to watch them do their work. It is so exciting to just sample all these different cheeses and just see all the action in person. And the demonstration stations in particular were such a huge hit at the World Championship Cheese Contest last year. Those are a fantastic opportunity for anyone to learn more about what's going on in front of them as the judging is happening. So I just want to put in another plug as someone who comes from outside of the world of cheese to this position. You definitely want to make it if you're able to come up to Green Bay and watch those preliminary rounds this year. It is a lot of fun. And the live stream event as well is a great time. We have cheesemakers on from all over the country that participate in that live stream, and it's available on our website that day for anyone to listen in and participate. We'll live stream it on Facebook as well. So it's a party. So make sure you make time to come to that. Next question we have. I think we covered this a little bit, Kirsten, but I'll have you take this one as well. Can I get a refund if I decide not to send in my entry?
If you decide to not send in your entry, please let me know in advance. So if you let me know before January 31st, which is the entry deadline day, you receive a 50% refund. If you decide to cancel after that, we do not offer refunds because we are already planning for your products. We're planning for our judges. That cheese is already in our system as, part of our logistics. So that is why we do not have a refund if you cancel after that entry deadline.
Okay, good to know. This is a popular one. How can I sign up to volunteer? I'm gonna burst some people's bubble, I'm sure, but unfortunately, judging and tasting the cheese is not a volunteer option. I learned that a few years ago. But how can people sign up to volunteer if they want to, Kirsten?
Sure. So we have, again, if you are interested in volunteering, please contact me. We'll add you to that distribution list for communications. As I mentioned before, those shifts fill up quickly. We need a bunch of volunteers, and we appreciate the help, and we have a great core team that are ready to sign up, and plan to send that out the first week of December. So watch for that email and reach out to me if you are interested in volunteering.
Okay, great. And Kirsten, again, put her contact information in the chat, so it's there if you need it. We will also send it out after this webinar as well. So if you're interested in volunteering, that's how you can get in touch with her. One more question that was submitted in advance. What kind of media exposure does the contest offer? Orphe mentioned this a little bit, but I'll expand. From a WCMA perspective, we invite upwards of 200 media outlets from across the country to attend and cover the contest each year. I'm in the process of reaching out to them right now. So we do that on your behalf to raise the profile of this contest and try and generate media exposure, both here in Wisconsin, but also all over the nation for this competition. We also are all over social media trying to amplify your successes. We share news articles that we see about the contest. As soon as we see them throughout the contest judging period, you'll see on our Facebook page at US Championship Cheese Contest, we share those out all the time. And on site at the contest, we're helping reporters connect with cheesemakers, connect with judges, to interview them and get background information and talk about their great products and their great work. So what kind of media exposure does the contest offer? A wide variety, I would say, and a lot of it. So just another benefit of entering and participating that happens whether or not you medal, whether or not you win, you know, US champion or one of the runner-up places. You can still get this kind of added brand exposure and reach new consumers in that way. I don't see any questions in the chat, so I will give one quick call out in case anyone has a burning question. It's on your mind right now, and you just have to unmute, and you got to ask it right away. Now is your chance. Okay, I think that's oh, we have one in the chat. Are there published standards for each class? That's a great question.
So the class definitions in the entry kit would be the kind of the standards of what the judges are looking for. A lot of the classes, there are, you know, references to the Code of Federal Regulations. So if you're looking for certain standards in that sense, like for cheddar or, you know, certain moistures, we do have a lot of open classes. So that too leaves them somewhat open for interpretation, and where those contests, that entry description also comes into play for those open classes. You help to describe what your cheese is in those open classes, but good, I'm glad.
Class was the follow-up.
And also too, you know, if you have questions and if any of the contest class definitions, you are looking for more specifics, or you're thinking, oh, my cheese might fit into multiple categories, or should my cheese go in an open class? I always reach out. These are my favorite questions to answer. I love learning about your cheeses and also figuring out where your cheese has the best chance to win and the best competition also.
So it sounds like for some of those questions, for a lot of those questions, the entry kit probably helps answer some of them. And then if there's any lingering ones, just reach out and ask. And Kirsten is always happy to help with those questions. All right. I think that captures all of our last questions for now. But again, please feel free to reach out to us anytime with any additional questions that may come up throughout the entry process. We're happy to help anytime. I will lastly offer you up some contact information here. For some more general questions about the contest, you can find all of the information we talked about today at uschampioncheese.org. General questions, feel free to contact that contest@wischeesemakers.org email address. We have a wonderful events team that is happy to triage those questions and help get you answers. If you have more specific questions or you need a little more help, you have Kirsten's contact information as well. You can reach her directly. She is WCMA's contest director, and she is the queen of all things contest here. So she will help you find an answer. Finally, I want to invite those of you who are current WCMA members to join us again in December for our next monthly member webinar. At that time, we'll be taking a look at forecast for milk pricing in 2025. Should be an interesting one, and registration for that is open right now at wischeesemakers.org/events. If you're not yet a WCMA member and you want to access these monthly webinars and a whole wealth of other resources and services, just head to our website, wischeesemakers.org, and you'll find all the information you need to learn how to start your membership today. Thank you again for joining us today. Thanks very much to our presenters, and have a great afternoon. We'll see you next time.